Hi, and welcome to our final devotion in this series on suffering. We have been looking at the question, why do bad things happen to good people? And while I believe the Bible gives many reasons, I have chosen three just to emphasize for our benefit. Number one, I said that God uses suffering to test the genuineness of our faith. Reason number two, I said that God uses suffering to give us a ministry to others. And today I would like for us to look at reason number three. God uses suffering to wean us from the pleasures of this temporary world and to look to eternity in joyful hope. In 2004, I heard an author, Randy Alcorn, speaking at a pastor's conference. He told the story of a woman on the plane. And he said that this woman began to set up her house on the plane. She decorated the walls and she brought curtains. She brought little pieces of furniture and some knickknacks in order to make the plane seat her home. He concluded that if this story were true, it would be really silly that someone would go through all the trouble to decorate a seat that they were going to use for an hour-long flight. The flight is temporary. Then he said this sentence. This sentence has challenged me for the last 16 years. We have made ourselves so comfortable in this life that we do not desire the life to come. The reason so many struggle with pain, suffering, and evil is because we expect this temporary life to provide the satisfaction that can only be found in eternity with Christ. Therefore, when we see the destruction that sin brings to this life, we shake our fist at God and we judge Him to be unfair and unworthy of our worship. Yet, it is the purpose of suffering to wean us from the satisfaction of this world so that we live with a deep longing for eternity. This longing fuels our hope and joy in Christ, which brings deeper satisfaction in this life. Suffering will consistently remind us that this is not our home. Let's look at Paul's evaluation of his suffering in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, beginning in verse 16. So we do not lose heart, though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. I would not count Paul's suffering as light or momentary. To me, it seemed rather extensive and consistent. Yet Paul says this light momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. As we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. And again in Romans 8:18, Paul says, For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. I pray that it can be said of me, as it was of the people of faith listed in Hebrews 11, in verse 13. It says, These all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking of that land from which they had gone out, they would have had opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for He has prepared for them a city. If you have not trusted Christ, this life is as good as it gets without Jesus. Yet all of life is screaming, this is not all there is. Trust in Christ, and you will discover satisfaction, hope, and joy that this world cannot provide. For the believer, take heart and endure, because this life is the only hell you will ever know. What awaits is a glory beyond all comparison.